and to serve you as a national board member and represent Georgia. I have to tell you, I travel all over the country. Yes, all over the country. And I go to a lot of associations. And I want to tell you, with our leadership, Tony Marshall, and the outstanding staff of Georgia Healthcare Association, we are a very lucky state. Very lucky. So I hope everybody's here. This is great education. We are so blessed to have what we have and the work that goes into this. And I hope everybody's able to leave here this week with something to take back to your centers that you can enhance and provide care for the residents that we serve every day. Many of you know me and have known me for a long time. I've asked for a tiara because this year will be my 20th straight year serving on the Georgia Association Board. 20 straight years. So I'm asked for a tiara because I think that's kind of worth it, right? But I'm just kidding. I began in this great industry that we serve. Unlike Donna, I did try not to get into the industry. I wanted to go into journalism. But it didn't work out so well because the University of Georgia decided to change their GPA from 2.5 to 3.0 out of 2.7. So long term, here I come. So that's how I got involved, but my dad was involved all through the state of Georgia he built 33 homes across the state. And during that time, my grandfather served as the administrator of the very first home we opened, which we recently moved out of, and we've donated that to the I'm Understanding VA Care Services, so we're real proud that that building continues to serve. And then my dad was the administrator, and I began working at the great age of 12 when they didn't have vending machines, and I actually sold tobacco and snuff. Back in the day, the ladies loved their snuff. And when you sold the tobacco and snuff, you also cleaned it up because, they did not spit in their cups. They spit on the floor. So I sold the snuff and picked up spit. Yes, and I stayed in the industry. And we didn't call it, we called it the local pantry, and it's where the residents got very little money, but we were able to serve and give them what they wanted. I have fond memories of those years and realized at a very early age that I really did want to serve the elderly, and they do have a special place in my heart. And I'm very proud to say that my daughter Kaylin, she might kill me, but today's her 25th birthday, is continuing to serve as a fourth generation of Georgia. I'm very proud of that. And my son is staying in healthcare and selling medical supplies. So, needless to say, when I was asked to share why I care, I did have one. I have two stories. One's too emotional for me today, but the first one is my granny. Got to give you a little bit of background about my granny. She lived in my backyard, and every time I heard, excuse my language, but damn it, Debbie, that was the thing my dad said when he was really, really mad, and I knew I escaped to Granny's house. And he would never spank me or reprimand me in front of Granny, and she had great homemade cookies and cheddar cheese. So I would eat and have fun and stay away from my dad. So I was very close to my parents, my grandparents. They lived in our backyard, and I was their youngest granddaughter. And we had lots of special memories. Every Sunday, my grandmother cooked Sunday dinner, which is a fast dying breed of everybody getting together after church for Sunday dinner. And then they would take me to the BX on base, and I'd get a toy every Sunday, whatever I wanted. Yes, I was a little spoiled. And they were back door to me, and next to me was her beauty shop where I washed hair and worked with her every day and just really enjoyed it. She has such a special place in my heart. She was an extremely proud woman, very proud. She ironed her sheets. Not so much, but she ironed her sheets. And a lot of who I am today and the person that I am, I owe to her and the relationship I had with her. So my grandfather passed away several years ago, and my grandmother was living in a house, and she was only serving in 2 rooms. The TV was never turned on. There were science projects in her refrigerator, little full balls, all a little balled up, and I opened them up, and I never really could figure out what it was. But I'd go clean her refrigerator out for her occasionally. And we strongly convinced her to please move out of that house and out of the dark and to move into our home, Summers Landing, our assisted living. She did not go smiling, but we actually talked her into living there. And let me tell you, she just flourished. my cousins went to see her, and they would say, "Oh my God, who is this woman? Is this Granny?" She was smiling. They would come to see her, and she'd say, "I'm sorry, I can't stay. I've got a class to go to. I'm going to paint. I've got my friends I'm going to have a socialize. I'm going to go socialize with. I'm going here." And they would go, "Oh my gosh, she's not even the same person. She's so happy, and she's enjoying life so much." She only lived there for a short, like 7 months, and my officers were there at the time, and she'd cut up cantaloupe and bring it to me every day. And she and I had many conversations about when her time came. She goes, "I never want to be a burden on anybody, and I never want anyone to be, I don't want to be totally dependent." And she made very sure I knew about that. So one morning, I was on my way to work, and the ambulances are out there, and I heard, "Debbie, go, it's your grandmother." Still emotional for me. And she'd had a stroke, and she couldn't speak, and she couldn't move one side of her body. And she went into our skilled setting, where she proceeded to get better, and then she got worse. And I was feeding her. She became septic. And I was feeding her one day, and she was total care. And as I mentioned, she was a very, very proud woman. And I could see that she no longer wanted to live in that dependent state. I was feeding her one day, and she looked me straight in the eyes, and she closed her mouth, and she did, "Which means no more. I'm ready to go." I was blessed with the decision and to face my family to let them know she no longer wanted to receive any nutrients, and it was her time. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. My grandmother passed away on New Year's Eve. Yay, she went out partying. And she was joined by my grandfather, who preceded her. And on the day of her funeral, there was this beautiful dusting of snow. Not enough to stop the traffic, but just this beautiful white dusting of snow that we drove through, and I can't tell you, it was like doves flying. It was such a moment of peace for me, and I felt like she just sent me a signal saying, "Thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to let me go." It is my grandmother's memory that inspires me to continue work on behalf of the residents in our center, and my efforts to advocate for the profession and our residents. And it has drove me to be a leader in the Georgia Healthcare Association and to go on to a role as chair of the American Healthcare Association. It is because of my grandmother and the residents that I have known and I have loved and loved serving them that I wanted to share the why I care. Sometimes the most difficult decisions are the hardest decisions, but they're decisions that we face every day, and we need to look at our residents and do the right thing. What do they want? Not what does their family want? What do our nurses want? Well, what is it they want? What do they want their last days to be like? Do they want to be hooked up? Do they want everything done for them? Sure, if they do, that's what we do. But if they don't, we have to advocate. We have to understand there is a quality of life, and it is not quantity. For me, why I care is all about caring for others. It's following those wishes and loving them enough to tell their story, even though it can be some of the most difficult conversations that we have. And as I said, sometimes the right thing is also the hardest thing. In long-term care, we are often the person who must have those difficult decisions and have those difficult conversations and make sure that we know what our residents want. I love the Why I Care campaign, and because, like Donna said, each of you has a story to tell, a courageous, compassionate story that demonstrates your own resolution to dedicate your life to helping others. I hope all of you in this room consider sharing your story as the Why I Care. This campaign helps us in our staffing shortages. It brings people to our profession. It tells our story. It helps us in our advocacies. It helps us in our daily communities. We've got to tell our story. Quit letting plaintiffs' attorneys dictate and guide that we are bad people. Everybody in this room has a heart and you care. Show it. Tell it. Tell your story. I want to leave you with one final message. I am so very proud to work alongside amazing, dedicated caregivers such as yourselves. You give selflessly in your service to your resident, and it's people like you who give all the grannies of this world the quality of life they so deserve. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless you.